I've been improving my communication skills and working on building my dream social life for almost 4 years now. And in that time, I went from this kind of lonely, introverted guy with a lot of social anxiety to more of a social butterfly who lives a way more social life, goes out, has fun, meets people, speaks to girls, and basically lives the social life, has the social life which me just a few years ago would have only been able to dream about. And one of the things which I've learned over the past almost 4 years is how to manage anxiety, specifically social anxiety, but also anxiety in any other area of life. The first thing you need to understand is what is anxiety. Anxiety, right, the feeling that you get when your stomach kind of starts hurting and maybe your palms start sweating, it's when you're imagining a negative scenario to happen in the future. The reason you get anxious, the reason you get kind of scared and start stressing out is because you're imagining some sort of bad, worst case scenario to happen. Like, let's say you want to speak to a girl. You have anxiety because you're imagining that you're going to walk up to her and you're going to embarrass yourself and you're going to make a fool out of yourself and it's going to be, and she's going to laugh at you. It's going to be like the worst case scenario. That then starts getting you scared because now you're not just having that possibility as one kind of thought in your head, like this could happen if I really screw up, but it probably won't. It turns that possibility into reality. So now when you're walking up to the girl to speak to her, this is all you think about. You only think about yourself messing up, and that's what makes you so scared. That's what gives you so much anxiety. I speak a lot about this. I have like an entire module where I go way deeper kind of into the science in my course, which you can check out, first link in the description. But basically, what you want to achieve is you want to get to this point where you kind of start taking these thoughts, right, these anxious thoughts, and you kind of start pushing them to the side. Stop thinking about them, stop thinking about them, and that's when you kind of become less anxious and more relaxed, right? One good thing that you can always ask yourself before doing something which brings you anxiety is just ask yourself, are these thoughts, are these kind of imaginations and, the things, the scenario that I'm imagining, is it really logical? Like, let's say you need to walk up to an attractive girl, and you start stressing out because you're imagining that all of a sudden you're gonna start walking up to her, and then her boyfriend, who is 7 foot tall, who is like a UFC fighter, is gonna walk up and kick your ass. Think about it. Is this really logical? Now, of course, this was an over-exaggerated scenario, but a lot of the cases, you will kind of think about it and realize that the thing that you are stressing out about is not really logical, or at least the chance of it happening is so low that it might as well be 0%. A lot of times, you will kind of realize this, and it will make you a lot less anxious because you will just realize, oh wait, like this is like not gonna happen realistically, so it's not really something I should stress about. Another good thing to ask yourself is literally just ask yourself, like, okay, even if this situation happens, like, what's the worst thing that could happen? Like, how would my life change? Okay, let's say I do walk up to the hot girl, and her boyfriend is a 7 foot tall UFC fighter, and I walk up and he kicks my ass. Okay, what happens then? Does my life really change that much? Okay, whatever, you get your ass kicked, and then you go home and you forget about it a few days later. Or in a lot of cases, it kind of ties into the last point, which is like, you usually imagine these scenarios to be way worse than they are. So when you realistically think, what is like the realistic worst case scenario, right? My kind of imaginary one is that it's gonna be some boyfriend UFC fighter. But what is like the actual like worst case scenario that's probably gonna happen? You're gonna walk up to her, and worst case scenario, you're gonna ask for her Instagram, and she's just gonna be like, "Sorry, I have a boyfriend." That's it. Like that's like a 99% chance worst case scenario, right? If a negative case scenario was gonna happen, this would be like 99% chance that it would be like this one. Like this is as bad as it would get. And when you kind of realize that, again, it works towards making you a lot more chill because you realize it doesn't really matter if the worst case scenario happens. And once you stop being afraid of the worst case scenario, once you stop looking down, the only way you can look is up at the best things that could come out of it. A good thing as well, which is kind of, it's not really like a mindset thing, but it is like a practical thing as well to remember, is that reps, experience is the best thing which will help you with anxiety. I could give you all of these kind of tips like mindsets and questions to ask yourself and stuff like that, but hands down, the foundation of the house itself, the furniture of the house, everything of this house, this imaginary house, if the house was like your, let's say, your social skills, it's practice, it's reps. It's walking up to the person, it's walking up to the girl and just speaking and doing it again and again and again. That is hands down the best way that you will delete your anxiety. Because imagine this. The reason your anxiety forms, right, in most cases, is because you're not very familiar with the thing that you're doing, and so all you can really do is imagine what you think the situation is gonna go like, and in a lot of situations, in most cases, you're gonna think of some crazy scenario like, as I said, the 7-foot UFC boyfriend, right? But the more times, the more experiences you have, the more you realize what reality really is, and you realize that in reality, stuff like that doesn't really happen. Imagine this as an analogy. Imagine you have a forest, right? And you had to walk through that forest every single day. The first time that you would walk through it, you'd be pretty anxious. You don't know what's waiting for you in the forest. You've never been there, and it's pretty scary. It gives you anxiety. But then the more times you walk through the forest and you kind of start memorizing it, kind of like in GTA 5 when you start, going through more parts of the map and the map starts like opening up, like the fog starts disappearing. When you start building like that kind of visual, like imaginary map of the woods, you've been through the forest so many times and you've seen every nook and cranny, you've seen everything that the forest has to offer. After a few hundred walks through the forest, now you're not anxious anymore about going through the forest because you know what's waiting for you there. You know that behind that tree there's probably gonna be some sort of cave. Behind this rock there's usually a snake, whatever. You know exactly what is where, how to avoid danger, how to navigate it, and instantly that deletes almost all the anxiety you've had. Experience is the thing which brings confidence, right? If you walk into a ring, let's say, and it's your first ever boxing match, you're gonna be scared. Even if you know that the opponent is weaker than you, you're still gonna be really scared. But if it's your 100th fight, you're not gonna be scared. You already have about 100 professional boxing fights. You're not gonna be really scared. You might be a bit, cautious and everything, but it's not gonna be nearly the anxiety and the fear that you've had on your first fight. Because you've had so many fights, so many situations, that you just know how to navigate it, you know what to expect, and you're not over here imagining worst case scenario and making yourself anxious like you did the first time. So, in essence, practice and reps is the thing which will deal with your anxiety the best. So the action step for this video would be to literally just go and just start speaking to people. And specifically speak to people, groups of people who stress you out the most, who gives you the most anxiety. In most cases, it's gonna be hot girls, let's be honest. You're probably gonna be pretty chill talking to old people or talking to little kids or maybe talking to your teachers, right? But you tried speaking to the hottest girl in your school, you tried getting her number, and now all of a sudden it's a lot of anxiety, right? Find the groups of people who can bring you the most anxiety and just speak to them constantly. Get as much experience as you can with that group of people, and you will notice your anxiety slowly starts disappearing. Now, if you want to improve your communication skills, social skills, and you want to build your dream social life in a very short amount of time with a very simple protocol where you just follow exactly what you watch a video and then you follow what the video says and you literally just create your social life. Very simply, you turn off your brain and you just follow a few simple steps. You can check out the first link in the description, which will take you to my course. It is where I've created this protocol which consists of the best information that I've learned from the last almost 4 years that I've been reading books, watching YouTube videos, studying, and just putting into practice anything that I can on the topic of social skills, pickup, game, girls, absolutely everything in the kind of social skills area. And if you found this video helpful, I think you'll find a lot of value in this video right here. click on the subscribe button and do the work.